What's up guys, Max here, and yesterday we got the reveal for RYU, making his official appearance in Super Smash Bros., as well as Roy and Lucas. Now, not being a huge Mother fan, Ness and Lucas aren't the characters I'm really looking forward to, but last night we had several hours with the game, and I did get a little bit of time with Roy and a lot with RYU, so let's quickly talk about RYU and how kind of crazy he is, and he really breaks the mold of Smash Bros. The way you conduct RYU is almost different than any other character in Smash. They actually tried to preserve RYU and his Street Fighter 4 fighting style, his Third Strike fighting style, and his original Street Fighter 2 fighting style more than any other character has really been preserved. He has the donkey kick from Street Fighter 3, he has a lot of normals that resemble Street Fighter 2, and he has the focus attack from Street Fighter 4. All his normals are really interesting and also very weird, mostly because if you tap the button, you get the light version, if you hold down the button, you get the medium version, and the heavy versions are mapped to your smashes. Now, this is kind of odd, especially when you're trying to do really fast combos. There's a very good example of a combo in the trailer for RYU that is impossibly hard to do. I'm not an expert Smash, execution monster, and I really am not that great at the game, but I was picking up RYU fairly fast, but those opening matches were pretty frustrating, just because he conducts himself completely different than any other character in this game. However, with certain elements, there's a few things that you need to know about RYU. You can execute all of RYU's special attacks, the fireball, the uppercut, the hurricane kick, physically on the analog stick. They're also mapped to the B button. Neutral B is the fireball for RYU, side B is hurricane left, hurricane left or hurricane right if you do any of the sides. Uppercut is up B, and down B is the focus attack. But any of those specials, the hurricane kick, the uppercut, the fireball, you can do the quarter circle motion, things like that on the analog stick. However, I found it to be really hard. The one thing I'll tell you guys, in order to actually do it on an analog stick, because this analog stick seems very difficult for me to execute these things when I want to, I'd much prefer D-pad. When you do it, all the moves are enhanced in some way. They come out faster, they have quicker recovery, they do more damage, more invincibility, things like that. So it's worth trying it every once in a while, and you can cancel off of select normal moves, just like RYU doing combos. For example, you can literally do run up, crouching short, standing jab, and then cancel it into an uppercut or even a low forward into a red fireball. And the red fireball is a unique move because it's half circle forward and the attack button. And the best way to know if you're getting the enhanced version of a special or the normal version, which is mapped to the B button, is to actually do fireball forward and press the A button. At that point, you know if you actually got a special attack, which normally isn't even on that button, you did the move appropriately that the game would want you to do. The biggest problem is that when you're trying to execute these moves really fast on a plane where your character can look left and right, it can get pretty difficult to execute things in the direction you want. So early on, I don't recommend doing that. That's going to be a thing where high-level RYU players are going to have to cancel their short, low forward into the red fireball immediately. And the dudes that are more precise on analog pads are going to have a great time with this character because he really is an execution monster. He honestly feels different than any other Smash character, and when you're fighting with RYU versus RYU or four RYUs in a match at the same time, there is some seriously cool looking stuff. The parry is another thing that a lot of people are talking about with RYU right now. However, it is just a visual difference. Everyone knows about perfect guarding in Smash Brothers. If you tap the shield button instead of holding it down, as soon as somebody attacks you, right at the moment the attack hits, you'll do a perfect shield and it has a unique ching sound effect. This essentially allows you to get out of block a lot quicker and follow up for an attack if you were really precise with your block. And that's exactly what RYU's parry is. However, RYU's parry isn't the shield as much, and he actually goes into the usual RYU pose where he parries an attack just like Third Strike. So it's just a really cool visual thing when you have these two guys fighting, and instead of RYU doing a perfect shield, which is just a shield animation, he does a parry, and he does a sidestep, and he does all this really awesome looking stuff, and it's very cool when it's moving all extremely fast. There's another note I would like to tell you guys. You can do things like focus attack dash canceling. If you charge up the focus attack, it does the same crumple states that Street Fighter 4 does, but you can indeed charge up the focus attack and dash forward or backward out of it, which is pretty good for mobility because you can use the armor of the focus and then indeed get out of that state if you wanted to. You can also do it in the air, so think about that for some aerial mobility. One of the bigger challenges with RYU that we were having was getting back to the stage and controlling the direction you want to go. You definitely don't want to down B a lot of the times because you're going to get an aerial focus attack and you're kind of stuck in that pose, but you indeed can do a hurricane kick in the air, jump away from the hurricane kick, and also do an up B, which is the Shoryuken, to get back to the stage. Once you get used to it, RYU's recovery ability is pretty good, and he can get back to the map from a very long distance or a near KO. But I really like this character, guys. Like, what I love about Mega Man and Ryu, Mega Man was pretty difficult to use at the start. He becomes a little bit easier after you play him for a while, and I think Mega Man's pretty good. But at the same time, Ryu is challenging, but he's got the damage. He has a lot of damage potential. He's got these combo mix-ups. He's got this overhead punch which crushes your guard gauge or your shield if you do have shield up. There seems to be a lot of different things that Ryu really take from Street Fighter games. And like I said, if you do Ryu versus Ryu and turn it on like stamina, it legit looks like Street Fighter like meets Power Stone. It is rather awesome, and I think Nintendo did an amazing job with the character. And I'm really happy to play more, and I'm looking forward to it as soon as possible. What do you guys think of Ryu with the time that you've had with him? Let me know in the comments below. And I'll probably play a little bit more Roy. Roy, I do think, is just freaking fantastic. My early impressions off of like the 5 games I played is that he's my favorite sword fighting character in the game. I never liked Marth too much when Roy was around as a character, just because I felt Roy just hits a little bit harder. He moves a little bit better, in my opinion, and it just works with my playstyle a lot more. And Roy's redesign is freaking awesome. They did a fantastic job with how this character looks. Thank you dudes very much for watching. My name is Max, and I'll be back with more stuff and hopefully more Smash Brothers as soon as possible. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you next time.